So our first question comes from Lori from Minneapolis, who wants us to address the governor's remarks, his inaugural remarks, and specifically his reference to Greater Minnesota and inequities in various zip codes. And I think we'll start with you, Senator Bach. What about the governor's comments about that topic?
You know, it was pretty refreshing. We haven't had a rural governor in Minnesota since Rudy Perpich from Hibbing. Long time ago. Many of our viewers probably weren't alive when Rudy was governor. But and for a while, I think a lot of us from rural Minnesota think that the real emphasis that needs to be placed on challenges in rural Minnesota has been missing at the Capitol. The chief executive, the governor, kind of sets the tone. And I thought his comments in his very first inaugural address, where he said there are a lot of inequalities in this state, and some of them are related to zip code, referring to some of the challenges in rural communities. And it was interesting that the next day he followed through in his very first executive order that he issued. Governor Dayton had issued an executive order about the inequalities that exist in Minnesota, some are gender-based, some are minority-based, and Governor Walz rescinded the Dayton executive order and replaced it with one of his own yesterday, his very first executive order. And it added into the list of inequalities based on geography and the opportunities sometimes that are missing in rural areas of the state that many people in the metropolitan area just take for granted. So clearly, under his administration, it was his very first act. I think rural Minnesota is going to get a little bit more attention from this governor, and I think there are a lot of people out there that have been waiting for a governor to pay that attention to.
Senator Benson, any thoughts on that?
Well, the zip code conversation in Health and Human Services is a little different, but it sort of neutralizes some of the more categorical conversations and says, let's focus on what this community needs. And you talk about the folks from Greater Minnesota. I think sometimes people who've always lived in an urban or suburban environment don't understand or appreciate how different things are in Greater Minnesota. You drive 20 miles to get groceries, or longer if you live in Cook. And medical care isn't always just a few blocks away or on your way home. Child care might be a member of your family, but it's getting harder and harder to find, and there aren't a lot of choices. And so I'm glad that we have a governor who maybe can bridge some of the challenges that we have as we become a more metro state, some empathy for people who have a different life experience that doesn't fit into the categories we traditionally view.
Representative Albright?
I appreciated the governor's sentiments because, having been just like him, I grew up just south of Mankato and Mapleton, and so I certainly appreciate, the emphasis that Mankato area has done for regional economic development. And I think at the chamber dinner the other night, he talked about kind of deep diving into, no pun intended, the rationale for why we lost the True Shrimp construction project in Luverne, Minnesota. And I think that speaks to some of the economic development issues that we have in Greater Minnesota that are needful. We can't just have everyone from Greater Minnesota moving into the metro area and looking for jobs, looking for educational opportunities and career paths. We've got to support the Greater Minnesota because those economic communities out there, so it's like Murdoch and Mapleton and some of those out there, are just as deserving for economic development opportunities, much like sometimes we tend to believe only get swayed towards the 7-county metro area. So I'm encouraged by what he says, and I look forward to working with him and his commissioners.
Speaker Ortman?
Sure. We, unveiled our top 10 bills yesterday, and I think that was yesterday. And one of them was broadband, carried by Representative Eklund. And, we totally understand that there is an issue in Greater Minnesota, a lot of concern about economic vitality. The move of people from rural areas to cities is happening around the globe. We're really seeing this huge demographic shift. And in Minnesota, what it has resulted in is a lot of economic anxiety, whether it's on the range related to what's the future of mining or in agricultural areas that are concerned about trade issues. but the future of the family farm is so different now, right? We don't have families on the farm in quite the way that we used to. So we have two committees that will really be diving into this. When I restructured the committees, I created a committee called Greater Minnesota Jobs and Economic Development. And I gave it finance authority, and I put Gene Pulowski in charge of it, because really there couldn't be a stronger fighter in the Minnesota House for rural Minnesota, Greater Minnesota, than Gene Pulowski. His budget will be $10,000 higher than the rest of the committee budgets, and he knows I fully expect that committee to go on the road and to be where people are, so that people feel like they don't have to come to St. Paul for us to hear what's on their mind. So there's definitely a lot of issues of concern out there. It's great that we have a governor who gets Greater Minnesota, and I think we're going to see a lot more conversation at the Capitol, in part because of the governor that we have, but in part because Greater Minnesota is saying, hey, hear us, come and hear us.
You know, not wanting to belabor this, but it is quite a challenge when you're a rural legislator and you come to the Capitol to kind of educate your metro colleagues about what it's like in rural Minnesota. And I often explain it like this. You know, I'm from way up north, but I spend about half of the year in the Twin Cities. So I watch their news, I read their newspapers, I go to their grocery stores, I go to one of their churches, I eat in their restaurants, I drive on their roads. I know what it's like to live in the Twin Cities. And I also know how it's like, what it's like at my home. So I think having that perspective is very, very helpful as we try to talk about one Minnesota, like the governor is laying out. And fortunately I think for our state, we now have a governor, I think, that probably has had a foot in both worlds. And I think it just will bring a little different perspective and maybe some emphasis to things like rural broadband that have been a little shortchanged in recent years. We all talk about it, but then we don't put much money into making it happen. So I'm pretty excited about a Walz administration, and his whole concept of one Minnesota. I really think he means it.